What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my Washington State football preview for 2016. So talking about a team last year that had actually a pretty successful season, went 9-4 in conference, or 9-4 overall, 6-3 in conference, good for third in the Pac-12 North. And they were led by the first of my three key players that I'm going to be talking about, and that is the superstar quarterback Luke Falk. So obviously, Falk had a tremendously successful 2015. I mean, his numbers were very, very, very good. 4,500 yards, 38 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions. Obviously, Washington State wants to have another good year in 2016. He's going to have a big year this year. He's surrounded by a whole bunch of good wide receivers. He's got a great wide receiving core, and then also he's got a decent stable of running backs also between James Williams and Gerard Wicks. So moving to my second key player, talking about the wide receiving core again, and that is Gabe Marks. Gabe Marks, one of the better receivers in the Pac-12, not to mention the other receivers that Washington State has at their disposal. Talking about River Craycraft, you also got Robert Lewis. They're very deep wide receiver, one of the deepest teams in the Pac-12 at that spot. So move on to my third key player over to the defensive side of the ball, and I've got Hercules Matafa. At defensive end, one of the best players along this defense. This is a defense that I think can be actually very good in 2016. They're going to be relying very heavily on Matafa on the defensive line this year. Even though he is the youngest player on the defensive line, probably the most talented, next to him will be Robert Barber and Daniel Equale, maybe? If you know that name, correct me in the comments. But anyway, move on to my first of two X factors, and I'm going to start with continued defensive development. The defensive coordinator brought in by Mike Leach, Alex Grinch, last year, really actually made this defense a lot better. Took their points per game down by more than 10 points per game, and they tripled their takeaways. Like I said, this is going to be a defense that will, I believe, progress again in 2016, even though the Pac-12 North is supposed to be very good this year. They're going to be relying very heavily on, in my opinion, two more players besides Matafa. One is going to be Dylan Hanser, the junior linebacker coming in. I think he's going to have to be big this year. And then Shalom Luani at safety, one of their better defensive backs. So move on to my next X factor, and I've got Luke Falk's health. It's not like he missed an extraordinary amount of time in 2016, but you know, it seems like the outcome could have been a little bit different. Maybe they could have won another game. I believe he missed parts or all of 3 games last year. I believe, yeah, he missed the entire Apple Cup and then also missed 2 other games. This is a team that really got spanked last year in the Apple Cup by Washington, losing 45-10. Just further proof that they do need Luke Falk at quarterback. So move on to my trap game for Washington State, and I've got Eastern Washington. Now, this might sound weird for a team that's a borderline top 25 team to start the year to have an FCS team as a trap game, but if you know Eastern Washington at all, then you know that they're an extremely good and extremely dangerous FCS team to play. 2013, they beat Oregon State, a top 25 team at the time. Again, they're not afraid to play anyone in the FBS, especially not a Power 5 team. So my biggest game for Washington State, once again, is Washington. Again, the Apple Cup will be a very big game this year. I'm not going to say it's going to, at least in my opinion, I don't think it's going to decide the conference, but it might. Like, Wazoo and Washington are two very good teams this year, and they both had the ability to pull off upsets in the Pac-12 North this year. At that time in the year, they're going to be fighting for spots in the Pac-12 North, obviously for the bragging rights of the rivalry, and then for, you know, ranking in bowl games that both of them, I'm sure, are going to go to. So get into my record prediction for Washington State, and I think they're going to go 9-4. Again, I've been trying to switch it up over this last day or two, but it seems like a lot of my record predictions are actually very similar to the teams, or the same as that they had in 2015. Going up and down their schedule, though, it doesn't look like there's going to be that much of a shakeup. Their biggest out-of-conference game is at Boise State on September 10th. That'll be a big game for a non-Power 5 versus Power 5. Both teams borderline top 25 teams. You know, you go through their first 3 conference games, and none of them are easy. You got to play Oregon, at Stanford, and then UCLA, probably the best team from the Pac-12 South. At Arizona State and at Oregon State should be wins for Washington State, and then you get Arizona at home, which would be a close game. Same thing with California, but also capable of winning both those games. Same thing with at Colorado. This could be a team going into the Washington game with like a 5 or 6 game win streak. But anyway, that pretty much does it for my Washington State football preview for 2016. I'm going to be coming back with my Pitt preview here in a little bit to round out today's previews, but that's pretty much it. See ya.